The reason most big goals feel overwhelming isn't the difficulty of the task, it's the uncertainty of the path. Stop trying to move forward from a chaotic start. We'll show you the single, counterintuitive strategy that starts at the finish line and instantly reveals every step you need to take.
You know that feeling, right? You're staring at this massive project, this huge goal, and you have absolutely no idea where to even begin. It's not that you're not ambitious, it's that crushing weight of an unknown road. You've got the destination in your sights, but you don't have a map. Well, today, we're gonna draw that map for you. All right, here's the game plan. First, we're gonna unpack this thing called the finish line paradox. Then, we'll diagnose the real enemy, the certainty deficit. From there, we'll give you the backward blueprint and show you the incredible neurological edge it creates. Then, we get super practical with a 3-step execution plan, and we'll wrap it all up with the core philosophy: deconstruct to dominate. So let's just jump right into this central and, kind of weird idea. The way we normally do things, starting at step 1 and hoping we figure out step 2, it's a recipe for confusion. It's like trying to build a race car engine by just staring at a giant pile of parts. You're guaranteed to get lost. The paradox is that the absolute fastest way to get to the beginning is to start at the end. And this is that strategy: reverse engineering. It's not some magic trick, it's a cold, hard system. You start with something that's already finished, already successful. And what that does is it immediately cuts through all the noise, all the conflicting advice, all the endless tutorials. You stop guessing what might work, and you start analyzing what has worked. It literally reveals the exact step-by-step path you need to follow.
So let's be really clear about the enemy here, because it's not you. The enemy has a name: information paralysis. You know that feeling of being so totally overwhelmed by options and data and potential first steps that you just freeze? You do nothing at all? That's not a character flaw. It's a biological response. Your brain is getting flooded with unverified information and it just shuts down.
Just look at the difference. On one hand, you've got the forward path. It's pure chaos, it's guesswork, it's overload, and it leads you to build these flawed ideas about how things actually work. But on the other hand, you have reverse engineering. This gives you instant clarity. It's a proven blueprint. It gives you intense focus on only what matters. It's literally the difference between being lost in a thick forest and driving 100 miles an hour on a perfectly paved highway.
Okay, so this gets right to the science of it. Think of the front part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, as the CEO of your mind. It's in charge of planning and decision-making. Now, when you just bombard it with chaotic, unproven information, that CEO gets completely overwhelmed. It has no idea what's important and what's just noise. And what does it do? It starts guessing. And that wastes a massive amount of your energy. And let's be honest, usually leads to just giving up.
All right, enough about the problem. Let's get to the solution. This is where we shift from being confused to being engineers. We're going to install a precise, repeatable, and pretty much infallible system for deconstruction. This isn't about being creative or having some brilliant intuition. It's about following a process.
The whole system really just breaks down into 3 simple phases. First, the outcome audit. That's where you analyze a successful result. Second, and this is the absolute core of the whole thing, you create the backward dependency map. And third, synthesis, where you take what you've learned and build your own playbook.
Now this is absolutely critical, so listen up. Phase 1 starts by identifying what we call a success artifact. This is not an idea, it's not a goal. It is a tangible, real-world example of what you want to create. Maybe it's a competitor's amazing marketing campaign. Maybe it's a beautiful piece of software. It has to be real, verifiable, and finished. This artifact becomes your North Star. It completely eliminates any guesswork about what good even looks like. And this question, this is the engine that drives the whole process. Once you have your success artifact broken down into its main parts, you take the very last component and you ask this exact question. And you just keep asking it over and over for every piece you identify. The keywords here are single and minimum. You are being ruthless here, stripping away everything that isn't absolutely essential. You're exposing the true critical path. Okay, let's make this real. Imagine your success artifact is some awesome data dashboard. You start at the end, the final, interactive dashboard, and you ask, what is the single minimum input needed for that? Well, a clean, structured data set. Okay, and what's needed for that? Raw data from a bunch of different sources. And for that, you need the API access keys. Boom! By asking the question backward, you just found your true first step. Get the API keys.
You didn't start by trying to learn 10 different coding languages. You started with the one thing that was absolutely fundamentally necessary. That is the power of the Backward Dependency Map.
So, we've covered the what and the how. Now let's get into the really cool part, the why. Why is this strategy so ridiculously effective? Because it's not just a logical system for you to follow. It's a cognitive hack that works with your brain's natural wiring.
It really boils down to 3 huge neurological wins. First, you activate your brain's planning center, that prefrontal cortex, in the most efficient way possible. Second, you dramatically boost your ability to see patterns and gain real insight. And third, you create this powerful, immediate reward loop that builds momentum from day one.
Let's go back to that CEO in your brain. When it's facing a big, foggy cloud of uncertainty, it puts an enormous strain on your system. It's just burning through mental energy, trying to predict what's next. That's why starting a huge project can feel physically exhausting before you've even typed a single word. That high neurological strain is the direct cause of that information paralysis we talked about.
Now watch what happens when you give it a complete blueprint instead. When your brain sees a clear, logical, step-by-step path from where you are to where you want to go, that neurological strain just plummets. Your CEO isn't wasting energy on guessing anymore. It's freed up to do what it does best: execute, solve problems, and learn. You're basically outsourcing the stress of planning to the system, which makes focus feel almost effortless. And this might be the most powerful part of all: the immediate reward. When your backward map shows you that this one small, simple action you can take today is directly and undeniably linked to that massive final goal, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. It's a reward based on certainty, not hope. This is the feedback loop that just kills procrastination, because you know, without a single doubt, that what you're doing right now actually matters.
All right, theory time is over. Let's make this tactical. Let's turn this entire framework into your non-negotiable playbook. This is exactly how you put this into action, starting today. No more talking, all action.
Here are the 3 commands. 1. Audit the artifact. Find that real, verifiable, successful example and break it down into its core pieces. 2. Create the map. Start from the finish line and use that core question. What is the single, minimum preceding input, over and over and over until you land on your true first action. And 3. Execute step 1. Take that logic and, most importantly, take that very first step. Don't think about it, just do it.
So, I'm asking you right now, what is it for you? Think about that one big goal, that complex skill you want to learn. If you were to create a backward map for it this afternoon, what would be the very first concrete physical action that map would tell you to take? Not the 10th step, step 1. What is it?
Don't just think about it. That's not enough. Pull out your calendar, open your to-do list app, and time block that single first step. Do it now. This is the move. This is what turns this from just some interesting information into an actual result in your life. The gap between knowing and doing is closed by one scheduled action.
Okay, let's zoom out one last time for the biggest, most important takeaway. Because this is so much more than a productivity hack. It's a fundamental philosophy for achieving mastery in literally any field you can think of. So let's just put it all together. Reverse engineering solves the problem of information paralysis. It solves that forward problem by giving you a proven blueprint. And why this matters so much is that it gives you a system for achieving mastery of anything complex. This whole process, the backward mapping, the synthesis, it activates the planning center of your brain and dramatically accelerates how fast you build accurate mental models. You're not reinventing the wheel, you're just decoding what already works. And that's really the bottom line. The goal is not to work harder. It's not about hustling more. The goal is to master systems, like reverse engineering, that remove the friction, that eliminate the guesswork, and that make deep, productive focus your natural default state. Stop trying to build from chaos. Deconstruct success. Find your first step and begin.